2023. Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. Welcome to the third and final live session of the NPTEL Massive Open Online Course on Science, Technology and Society. Okay. As you all know that we are approaching the final stage of this course. And I'm sure most of you must have attempted all weekly assignments. Now you are going to approach the final examination. I'm sure all of you are very bright students. All will do well. See, this is a 12-week course consisting of 30 hours of lectures in Science, Technology and Society. See, if you look at this, we have started with thematic preliminaries. Then, what is technology? What is science? How do they interact with society? How do they interact with our economic, culture, and polity? Then we have discussed methods of science. We have discussed ethos of science. We have discussed social shaping of technology in contradistinction with technology of society. We have discussed science policies in India. See, if you look at this from the very beginning, what we have done, we started with this, that philosophy in its pre-19th century incarnation was divided into two parts. One, natural philosophy, and the other, moral philosophy. Natural philosophy is nothing but science in the present sense of the term, and moral philosophy is nothing but ethics. Natural philosophers or scientists in the present sense of the term are engaged in epistemological questions, whereas moral philosophers are engaged in ethical questions. As you all know, epistemology is nothing but a theory or body of knowledge, precisely because of the central philosophical questions that epistemology addresses. What is knowledge? How is knowledge produced? What counts as knowledge? And so on. And for this reason, epistemology is known as a body or theory of knowledge. And ethics is known as a study of nature of conduct, precisely because of the philosophical questions that ethics addresses. What is good? What is bad? What is right? What is wrong? And so on. And this is how, in the pre-19th century, prior to the 19th century, philosophy was dealt with from two vantage points. One from the vantage point of natural philosophy, and the other moral philosophy, or one is from the vantage point of epistemology, and the other ethics. And natural philosophers, or the proponents of epistemology, or scientists in the present sense of the term, have missed out on significant questions, such as, if we have produced knowledge, then whether everybody has an access to those forms of knowledge or not, whether the kind of knowledge that we have produced, whether it is evenly distributed in our economic, culture, and polity or not, whether the knowledge that we have produced, whether it has been democratized or not, and so. Questions of equity, inclusion, democracy, accessibility, affordability. These questions were not addressed by natural philosophers or scientists in the present sense of the term, and they became the locus of inquiry for the scholars of ethics or moral philosophers. Okay. Having said this, I do not intend to say that epistemology is more important than ethics, or ethics is more important than epistemology. I do not intend this. My job as a student of sociology of science is to integrate natural philosophy with moral philosophy, or in other words, my job is to integrate epistemology with ethics. When I tend to integrate epistemology with ethics or natural philosophy with moral philosophy, I tend to arrive at modern philosophy of science. Science may be an inquiry, may be a method, may be an institution, may be an ideology. When I say science is an inquiry into the nature and limits of a particular knowledge. By limits, I do not mean limitations. By limits, I mean under what limiting conditions science is practiced or pursued. When I say science as a method, I mean science deploys at least two methods, namely inductivism and hypothesism. As you know, we have discussed in methods of science that inductivism is based on empiricism and empiricism is based on experience. On the contrary, hypothesism is based on rationalism and rationalism is based on reason. And within methods of science, we have discussed positivism. We have, how positivists attributed supremacy to science vis-a-vis non-sciences. And then we have discussed how Popper made a systematic attack on the positivistic construct of science. Then Kuhn we have discussed fair abandonment. The objective of such exercise to examine different methods of science is to hammer the point that there cannot be any single method of science, there cannot be the method of science. Rather, there must be multiple methods of science. But the kind of methods that we tend to look at, they must adhere to the principles of experience and reason. Okay. And then we have discussed ethos of science, effectively tuned complex of values and norms held to be binding on the man of science. And these ethos are expressed in terms of prescriptions, proscriptions, preferences, and permissions. Okay. And Robert King Merton, I tried to delineate 4 ethos of science, namely communism, universalism, disinterestedness, and organist skepticism. And then we have discussed whether do artifacts of politics through the works of Langdon Winner and others. In contradiction with technological setting of society, we have discussed social setting of technology by Donald McKenzie and U.D. Walkman. If you look at this, when I say technological setting of society, you will find that that technologically deterministic view about economy, culture, and politics is no longer sustainable today. The dialectic of science studies, as I see it, is the tension or the dialectical relationship between the production of scientific knowledge on the one hand and the application of scientific knowledge on the other. Okay. The utilitarian values, meanings, interests, ideologies that one can empirically observe in terms of applications. Okay. And sociology of science, in particular, and science, technology, and society studies in general, are engaged in exploring this dialectic. No doubt. That technological determinism, when I say, technological determinism postulates that technology develops in an autonomous fashion, unmediated by external forces ranging from economy, culture, and polity. Technology is independent, technology is neutral, technology is autonomous, and so on. But through history of science, history of technology, we learned that no, technology is not autonomous, technology is not independent, technology is not neutral. I mean, the neutrality of a technology is determined by the ways in which a specific technology is designed and controlled. That's how design and control become the basis to or grounds to examine the neutrality of a specific technology. That's important. Technology must be evaluated in a particular economic, political, cultural context. Technology is not independent. Okay. Technology is not universal. Technology is not ahistorical. Technology is not atemporal. Technology is specific. Technology is specific to the context. If you say that technology is universal, then perhaps it will be difficult to subscribe to such notion about the universality of technology. Then it will be a problem how you can look at the historical relativism of those who construe technology as a social construct. That's how we have discussed social construction of technology, social setting of technology, and so on, through the works of Langdon winners to artifacts of politics, maybe the invention of the electric bulb by Thomas Edison, and so on. And then we have discussed how those ethos of science, namely kudos, communism, universalism, disinterestedness, and organized skepticism, have been challenged by John Gimon through place, proprietary systems, local authority, commission, and so on. So we have discussed this. And then we have discussed how after independence, India became the first country in the world to formulate its science policy in 1958, the Scientific Policy Resolution. And then India shifted its attention from science to technology in 1983 through the formulation of the technology policy statement. India, in fact, wanted to leapfrog from science to technology, in the hope of application, in the hope of oriented basic research or directed basic research, orientation in the pursuit of applications, hope of applications. And in 2003, India wanted to integrate both technology and science, as a consequence of which we witnessed the formulation of science and technology policy. And as you know, when you say technology, science, and so on, the world of patenting is extremely important. The first Indian Patents Act was enshrined, or it was formulated in 1970, which was subject to only process patents. In other words, one could arrive at the same product by using different processes. And but after, in 1995, India became signatory to the WTO agreements, and as a part of that agreement, India entered the product patent regime the 1st of January 2005. And the criteria for attaining patents are threefold. One is novelty, two, non-obviousness, three, utility, industrial utility. When I say novelty, the product must be new. When I say non-obviousness, the product must involve an inventive step. And when I say utility, I mean one satisfying power of a commodity. I mean that must have industrial application. Then the framers of science and technology. Have you taken? No. No, when I said India entered the product patent regime on the 1st of January 2005, I mean the framers of the formulators of science and technology policy thought of including innovation in the countries in India's science and technology policy. I mean, then we witnessed in 2013 the formulation of the science, technology, and innovation policy. And in 2019-20, India came up with the new science, technology, and innovation policy. Okay. In the entire course, we have discussed the received view and the challenges about the notion of technology, science, and society. And मैं फटाफट खत्म करता हूँ। हाँ, Thank you. And if you have any question, you can raise, or else you can send your questions to on the portal. Our team will get back to you with appropriate answers. I'm sure all of you are very bright students. All of you will register for the final examination, and all of you do well, not only in examination but also in life. Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.